You are standing before the very door of God's wealth flow. The question is, will you enter? For years you have searched, you have prayed, worried, doubted, and tried to force the world to move in your favor. Yet all along, the true door was never locked. It was waiting in silence for you to recognize it. This door is not built of wood or stone. It is the golden door within the inner temple of your heart. It is the silent gate of destiny, waiting for the moment you choose to align with divine abundance. Wealth, as Florence Scovel Shinn revealed, is never a matter of outer chasing. It is a matter of inner alignment. When your soul comes into rhythm with divine law, money, opportunities, and provision flow like a river. They do not trickle, they stream in perfect measure. For wealth is spiritual before it is material. It is the evidence of God's endless supply moving through you. Look within now. Picture it. A golden door framed in light. Upon it is written in letters of fire, by divine right. This door does not open by force. It does not answer to desperation. It responds only to faith, to surrender, to the sacred habits that turn the key. And the moment you choose to live by divine law, the hinges turn, and the wealth of heaven flows into every corner of your life. You may feel as though you have knocked and knocked, but listen closely. The Spirit says, you are already standing at the entrance. You were guided here not by accident but by divine appointment. This message has found you because your soul is ready to cross over from struggle into flow, from confusion into clarity, from scarcity into supply. Pause for a moment. Feel the weight of this truth. Your lack was never punishment. Your waiting was never wasted. It was the shaping of your soul, preparing you to see the difference between chasing shadows and walking in the light. The world may have taught you that wealth is reserved for the ruthless or the lucky. But heaven teaches another law. The wealth of God flows through the obedient heart, the surrendered tongue, the soul that dares to speak with power. The doors of abundance swing open now. This is not ambition, this is alignment. If you feel this message stirring your soul, if you sense that something ancient and true is awakening within you, then I invite you to subscribe to this channel for daily spiritual teachings that keep you aligned with God's plan. Let every word you hear here be a step deeper into the temple of abundance, a reminder that you are not walking alone, but guided by divine law. Now breathe deeply and let your imagination see the scene. You are standing in a vast inner sanctuary. The air hums with light. Before you rises the golden door, radiant with promise. Place your hand upon it in your mind's eye. Feel its warmth, as if heaven itself is pulsing through the frame. And as you whisper the decree of Florence Scovel Shinn, I open the way for divine abundance. I am an irresistible magnet for all that belongs to me by divine right. The door shifts. The hinges stir, and a river of living wealth begins to flow towards you. Do you feel it? The fear that once clenched your chest begins to loosen. The doubt that clouded your vision begins to clear. You are awakening to the truth that wealth is not far off. It is here. It is now. It is waiting for your recognition. This is the beginning of a new walk, not the old path of striving, but the path of spiritual habits that unlock the door again and again. Habits of faith, of word, of vision, of release, of thanksgiving. Habits that turn your very life into a vessel of supply. Let the old story end here. The story where you wondered if you were forgotten. The story where you believed wealth belonged to others, but not to you. That story dissolves in the light of this golden door. From this moment you know, you are chosen to walk through. You are ready to live in God's wealth flow. And so we declare together, as a sacred seal upon this opening, God's wealth doors swing open now, and I walk through by divine right. Take a deep breath now and feel what I am saying. You are standing at the threshold of a new reality, a reality where wealth is not distant but present, not scarce but flowing, not withheld but overflowing. Say within yourself, God's wealth doors swing open now, and I walk through by divine right. And let this be more than words. Let it be the beginning of a new vibration, a new identity, a new life. For wealth is not something you chase, it is something you embody, it is something you allow, it is something you claim in consciousness until the outer world reflects it back to you in perfect form. Imagine the door opening now. Behind it, a river of golden light, flowing endlessly, streaming toward you, carrying every resource you need, every idea, every connection, every opportunity, every form of supply. You step forward and it flows to meet you. No more waiting, no more postponing, no more doubting. The divine right time is now, and the divine right door is open. Repeat after me with inner authority. I no longer stand in fear. I no longer stand in lack. I am the beloved of God. I am supplied by divine law. I am one with the river of wealth, and I walk boldly through the open door. And so it is. This is where your journey begins. The awakening, the recognition, the first sacred habit that opens everything else. And as we move deeper, you will learn the habits that not only open the door, but keep it open. Habits that make wealth your natural state. Habits that align your daily life with eternal supply. So remain present, remain open, remain willing, for the story of your wealth is just beginning to be written, and this time it is written with divine ink on the scrolls of eternity. The first sacred habit is the mastery of your word. It may sound simple, but nothing holds more power in shaping your destiny than the language that flows from your tongue. Every syllable you release carries weight, every phrase holds energy, and every declaration plants a seed. You are speaking your financial future into being each day, whether you know it or not. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the word is not casual, it is law. It travels into the hidden chambers of your subconscious mind and sets invisible forces into motion. Words are not mere sounds. They are chisels in the hands of the divine architect, carving the shape of your life, carving the door through which God's wealth will flow to you. But here lies the struggle. Most people do not realize they are speaking against their own prosperity. They say, "I can't afford that, money never lasts, times are hard." Each sentence is a command issued to the subconscious, and the subconscious obeys without hesitation. It does not argue. It does not pause to question. It simply manifests the blueprint given to it, and so many unknowingly construct walls of lack with their very own tongues. This is why the sacred habit of guarding your speech must be embraced as a discipline, as a holy practice. Words of poverty will always close the door of divine supply. Words of wealth will always open it. Think of your words as the keys to a sacred gate. Every time you say, "I cannot," the key breaks. Every time you say, "I lack," the door seals tighter. But when you declare, "God is my unfailing source, my supply is unlimited," you place a golden key into the lock, and the door of wealth swings wide before you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. See a vast hall stretching before you, walls of shining marble, and at the end a great door etched with gold. Each word you speak is a stroke of the chisel carving the lock. Day after day, word after word, you are shaping the key that will either fit perfectly or fail to open it. That door is the passage into God's abundance, and your tongue is what determines whether you will enter. This is why we must retrain the tongue. It is not enough to silence negative words. You must replace them with declarations of truth. You must substitute every phrase of lack with words that sing of divine supply. The law of substitution is your ally. If you are tempted to say, "I cannot afford this," substitute it with, "God's wealth flows to me in perfect ways." If you find yourself saying, "Money is scarce," substitute it with, "Wealth is abundant, and I align myself with it now." Let this be your practice. Write down the words you often speak about money. Be honest. Do not soften them. Confront the reality of how your tongue has been shaping your world. Then, beside each phrase, write the divine truth that must take its place. Create your new vocabulary of wealth. This is not a casual exercise. It is the reprogramming of your subconscious. It is the rewriting of the story your life has been telling. Listen to these affirmations and allow them to enter your spirit. I speak only words of wealth, and wealth obeys my voice. My tongue is a key that unlocks divine supply. Every word I release is a seed of abundance that cannot return void. I command prosperity, and it manifests in my experience. Repeat them slowly, with conviction. Speak them aloud daily. Let your voice become the sound of faith. Because wealth responds not to begging, but to authority, and your authority is in the word you speak. You see, when you begin to speak with alignment, you are no longer arguing with circumstances. You are no longer bowing to appearances. You are standing in the higher law, the invisible law, the law that governs form. The spoken word is your decree, and heaven must obey it. There is also a healing that occurs when you practice this habit. Many people carry shame and fear around money. They grew up hearing words of limitation spoken by parents, teachers, or leaders. Those words still echo inside, shaping beliefs and emotions. But here is the good news. The tongue that once repeated those words can now erase them. Every divine declaration is like light dissolving shadows. Every word of truth you speak heals the old agreements of lack. So if your inner voice whispers, "Money is hard to come by," you reply aloud, "Money comes to me with ease. God is my source, and his supply knows no struggle." If you hear the echo of, "I never have enough," respond with, "I always have more than enough, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is not denial, it is declaration. It is the deliberate act of reshaping reality. Picture your life as a sacred garden. Every word you plant becomes a seed. Speak thorns, and thorns will grow. Speak flowers, and flowers will bloom. The harvest you desire depends on the seeds you sow today, and the soil never argues, it never says no, it simply produces what is planted. Your subconscious is that soil, your word is the seed, your life is the harvest. This is the first sacred habit. To master it is to change everything. For if your tongue speaks in alignment with divine law, the mind must follow, the emotions must align, the actions must shift, and the door to God's wealth will stand open before you. Remember this declaration as you move forward. When the word is mastered, the mind must follow. Habit 2. Guarding the inner temple of thought. There is a deeper chamber beyond the words you speak. Words are powerful, yes, but they are born from a greater source, the wellspring of thought. A man cannot speak what he has not first allowed to take root within. And here lies the second sacred habit. Guarding the inner temple of thought. Every thought is a visitor knocking at the gates of your mind. Some come cloaked in fear, whispering, "What if you lose everything?" Some arrive dressed in lack, murmuring, "There is never enough." Others come as angels of light declaring, "You are already supplied. You are already whole." The temple of your mind decides who is welcomed and who is cast out. Florence Scovel Shinn taught the law of substitution. You cannot think two thoughts at once. When a thought of fear rises, it cannot coexist with a thought of faith. One must replace the other. The question is, which throne will you allow to be built inside your temple? If you let lack enter and dwell, it builds a throne of scarcity. It sits, and from that seat, it commands your life. But if you allow abundance to enter, abundance builds not just a throne but a palace, and its halls overflow with riches. I want you to picture a person standing in the middle of a storm. The rain lashes, the winds roar, the darkness feels endless. They hold their arms up, demanding the storm stop. But the storm continues. Hours pass and still the storm rages. Only when they shift their gaze upward, beyond the storm, beyond the clouds, to the light breaking through, does the storm lose its grip. For the storm was never about the rain or the wind, it was always about the mind. Where you place your attention, there your reality strengthens. Your mind is not a battlefield to be left unguarded. It is the holy temple of creation, and you are its gatekeeper. Each thought that enters lays down a stone. A single fearful thought may look small, but one stone laid upon another builds walls, builds structures, builds prisons. Yet a single faithful thought can begin a palace whose gates shine with gold and whose floors echo with divine supply. This is why the practice of substitution is sacred. You cannot fight fear by wrestling it. You replace it. When thoughts of "I am not enough" rise, you do not argue with them. You declare, "God's infinite abundance flows through me." When the thought of "I will never get ahead" comes, you substitute, "Divine timing is arranging all things for my good." The temple does not resist darkness. It simply lights a candle, and darkness flees. Here is a tool for you. Each time a thought of lack or fear appears, imagine writing it down on a slip of paper. Hold it in your hand, see the words etched in your mind. "I can't pay my bills." I'll never prosper. Money is hard to come by. Now, in your vision, bring this paper to a great flame of light. Watch as the fire consumes the words until not a trace remains. And in that sacred moment, speak the truth of God. Replace the ashes with life. Declare, I am surrounded by divine supply. Wealth comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. God's plan for me is abundance. The mind believes what it is repeatedly told. Guard it with precision. Refuse to allow toxic thoughts to build residence. Welcome only what aligns with the riches of heaven. Say with me, my mind is a sacred temple, only divine wealth may dwell here. Every thought I think builds the palace of my abundance. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. You are the keeper, the watchman on the wall, the priest of this temple, and when you practice substitution with faith, something extraordinary begins to happen. Fear loses its grip, anxiety dissolves, your energy lifts, doors open, people are drawn to you, opportunities flow like rivers, finding their way to the sea. The temple is guarded, and within its walls, the orchestra of divine thoughts plays without interruption. Every note is faith, every melody is abundance, every harmony is prosperity. And here is the mystery. When your thoughts align, heaven's supply has no resistance. There is no delay. There is no block, for thought is the blueprint, and heaven builds on the blueprint you provide. If your design is filled with cracks of fear and pillars of doubt, the structure cannot stand. But if your design is filled with walls of faith and arches of abundance, the palace rises swiftly, and its chambers overflow with blessings. Beloved soul, guard your temple well. Do not let the thief of lack climb over its walls. Do not let the voice of fear sit in its sea. Acred chairs, let your temple echo only with the songs of faith, for as your thoughts rise, your life must rise with them. And now, as you stand as guardian of your mind, the next truth awaits. For once the temple is secured, the very atmosphere of your life begins to change. The air grows lighter, the path grows clearer, and supply flows like a river without end. Once your thoughts align, heaven's supply has no resistance. Habit 3. The sacred act of giving and receiving. There comes a point in the journey where the inner sanctuary of thought must extend outward. You have guarded your temple, replaced fear with faith, and built a palace of abundance within your mind. But now the soul asks a deeper question. Will you let that palace breathe? Will you allow the wealth of God to move through you, not just to you? The third divine habit is the sacred act of giving and receiving. It is here that the law of circulation awakens. Florence Scovel Shinn often reminded us that whatever we withhold is withheld from us, and whatever we release in faith returns multiplied. The universe is a living current. It moves, it flows, it expands, and when you participate in that flow, your life becomes a channel for miracles. Think of wealth as a river. When it is blocked, it stagnates. The water grows heavy, still, lifeless. Fear of loss builds the dam. Greed builds the wall. The belief that you must hold tightly to what you have creates the very dryness you fear. Yet when the river is released, when it is allowed to move freely, it not only refreshes the land it touches, but it also gathers new streams, new rains, new fountains. The more it flows, the greater it grows. Perhaps you have felt the sting of holding too tightly, the paycheck that slips away the moment it arrives, the constant worry that if you give, you will not have enough left. That fear whispers lies, protect, clutch, hoard. But fear is a poor keeper of treasure. Fear builds walls so high that blessings cannot enter. Fear turns the stream of wealth into a desert of lack. The divine law is simple. As you give, in faith, you open the invisible gates of receiving. You declare to the universe, I am not limited. I am connected to infinite supply. Money is not my master. God is my source. Each act of giving becomes a proclamation of trust. It says, I believe that what leaves my hand does not leave my life. It returns multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Close your eyes and imagine this now. Picture money as golden light flowing through your hands. Feel it move like a river. It does not belong to you to cling to. It belongs to God who circulates it through you. As you give, more arrives. As you release, heaven refills your hands. Like a heartbeat, giving and receiving form one sacred rhythm. Inhale, exhale, flow in, flow out. This is divine circulation. But let us be honest, the struggle is real. There are moments when the thought of giving feels impossible. The bills stare back, the needs pile high, and something inside resists. Not now, maybe later. I must protect what little I have. It is in these very moments that the law is most powerful. For giving is not measured by amount but by trust. When you bless someone with even the smallest seed, whether it be a coin, a meal, a word of encouragement, you awaken the law. You set the current in motion. Practical tools make this law tangible. Tithing is one, not as a rigid rule, but as a joyful practice. To give the first portion back to God is to say, "You are my source, not this paycheck." Blessing others is another. Each time you share, do it with joy. See the smile of heaven upon your act. Declare the return. As I give, it is given back to me, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. My giving multiplies wealth in my life and in the lives of others. Imagine now that you stand at a riverbank. The waters sparkle in golden light. You cup your hands, fill them, and release the water back into the stream. The river does not diminish, it only grows stronger. And the more you release, the more it rushes back to meet you. This is not fantasy, this is divine law. Some of you listening have felt that life has withheld from you. Opportunities passed, wealth delayed, prayers unanswered. And yet, what if the delay was not punishment, but a gentle whisper inviting you to open your hands? What if the heavens have been waiting, not for you to grasp tighter, but for you to trust deeper? Take a moment now to heal your inner dialogue. Instead of saying, "I can't afford to give," declare, "I cannot afford not to give, for giving is my key to receiving." Instead of thinking, "If I give, I will lack," affirm, "If I give, I activate the abundance of heaven." Replace the fear of loss with the vision of multiplication. Every time you release, imagine God's divine storehouses opening wide, pouring back into your life streams you never saw coming. Let this become your daily practice. When money comes into your life, see it as a guest. Welcome it with gratitude. Bless it with purpose, release a portion with joy, and then watch as it returns with friends. More money, more opportunities, more blessings. For money, like all divine gifts, longs to circulate. It longs to be a river, not a reservoir. There is a sacred rhythm beating beneath all creation. It is the rhythm of circulation. Stars give their light and receive back energy. Trees release oxygen and receive carbon in return. The ocean gives vapor and receives rain. Everything in divine order flows. Why would wealth be any different? You are not meant to be a dam. You are meant to be a river. Let us seal this truth with prayer. Infinite Spirit, I open my hands in faith. I release with joy, knowing you are my source. I am not diminished by giving. I am multiplied. I am not emptied. I am filled. Make me a channel of circulation, that wealth may flow through me and return to me in endless waves of blessing. And as this prayer settles into your heart, declare once more, my mind is free from fear of loss. My hands are open to the river of God. As I give, I receive. As I release, I am filled. I am a vessel of circulation, and wealth flows endlessly through me. When you live this habit, you will no longer fear money. You will no longer worship it or run from it. You will walk in mastery, knowing money is but light in motion, and you are the sacred current through which it flows. And remember this eternal truth: when you open your hands, God opens his heavens. Habit 4. The Law of Praise. There is a hidden key that turns locked doors into open gates, and its name is praise. Praise is not flattery, nor is it blind optimism. Praise is the language of faith in action. It is the sacred act of declaring light in the middle of darkness, of lifting your vibration to the frequency of answered prayer before the evidence appears. Praise says, I know who my source is, and I know that source never fails. The law of praise is a living current of divine power. When you lift your words in thanksgiving, you become a magnet for the miraculous. Praise shifts the atmosphere. Praise realigns the inner compass. Praise transforms delay into divine timing. It is impossible to hold bitterness, fear, or lack in the same space where true praise is alive. For praise is not just words, it is vibration, it is spirit in motion. Think of a singer in an empty room. At first the sound may seem small, but as the notes continue, the whole room begins to vibrate. The walls echo, the air moves, and soon the singer's own body feels the resonance. So it is with praise. When you speak words of gratitude and exaltation to God in the midst of need, your inner temple begins to vibrate with supply. The vibration grows until it reaches the very conditions around you, and matter itself begins to rearrange. Praise lifts what was stuck. It opens what was closed. It draws the divine orchestra into harmony with your life. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn declared that praise expands and fear contracts. Fear shrinks your world, but praise multiplies it. When you say, "Thank you God for supply even now," doors appear where. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn declared that praise expands and fear contracts. Fear shrinks your world, but praise multiplies it. When you say, "Thank you God for supply even now," doors appear where there were none. When you say, "I bless the wealth I cannot yet see," the invisible becomes visible. Praise does not wait for the harvest, it waters the seed. There are those who say, "But how can I praise when my pockets are empty, when bills are piled, when nothing seems to move?" My friend, that is precisely when praise carries its greatest power. Anyone can give thanks when all is well, but the soul that sings in the midnight hour is the soul that calls down dawn. When you choose to praise in lack, you are not lying to yourself, you are aligning yourself with God's eternal truth, that lack has no reality in spirit. You are declaring that you live in the kingdom where supply is infinite, and by that declaration, you invite heaven's economy into earth's appearance. Affirm these words with me now. I praise my way into wealth, I sing my way into divine supply. Speak them not as empty chants but as living decrees, for the tongue holds power, and what you praise multiplies. If you praise the problem, it grows. If you praise the promise, it unfolds. Section 5. Habit 5. The Law of Non-Resistance. Now, hand in hand with praise comes its twin, non-resistance, for it is not enough to praise while still clinging to control. It is not enough to sing while still wrestling with the outcome. You must learn the sacred art of release, the law of non-resistance. Resistance is subtle. It hides behind worry. It disguises itself as control. It whispers, "If I don't hold this tight, it will fall apart." Yet resistance does not protect you, it imprisons you. The more you push against what is, the stronger it grows. The more you wrestle with the locked door, the more your strength, Dr. Ains. But when you step back, surrender, and allow, the door swings open by itself. Let me give you an image. Imagine a person standing before a massive wooden door. They push, they pull, they strain with sweat and frustration, but the door will not move. Hours pass and their body is weary. Finally, in exhaustion, they step back, and in that very moment, without effort, the door swings open, not inward, but outward, because all along it was designed to open in the opposite direction. This is the mystery of non-resistance. What you cannot move by force will move by surrender. What you cannot change by control will change by release. When you let go, God takes over. Florence Scovel Shinn taught, "I do not resist, for what I resist will persist." Resistance creates more of the very condition you fear, but release invites divine solutions you could never design. To resist is to fight with shadows. To surrender is to let the sun rise and dissolve them all. Practice this daily tool. Whenever a worry grips your mind, speak aloud, "I resist not, I release it to God." Say it once, say it twice, say it until your body feels the loosening. Feel the chains fall. Imagine the heavy stones of fear, doubt, and control resting in your hands. One by one, see yourself carrying them to the altar of God. Place them there. Step back, walk away free, for the altar is the only place strong enough to transform them into light. Close your eyes now and visualize this. You are carrying a sack filled with heavy stones. Each stone is a worry, your debt, your health, your relationships, your future. The weight bends your back. The sack cuts into your shoulders. You feel weary, but up ahead you see a golden altar glowing with divine fire. You approach and lay the sack down. You watch as the fire consumes the stones, turning them into radiant sparks of light. Suddenly you realize, you are free. You are lighter than air. And as you step away, joy rushes into your being. This is the gift of non-resistance. When you praise and release, you create space for miracles to enter. Praise opens the gate. Non-resistance removes the chains, and together they form the path where wealth must flow. Declare with me now, I resist not, I release it to God. I praise, and wealth multiplies in my life. Say it until it becomes the rhythm of your day. Whisper it when fear arises. Sing it when gratitude wells up. Let praise and surrender become the melody and harmony of your life, and watch how wealth answers. For when praise fills your mouth and resistance leaves your heart, heaven's treasury has no choice but to pour. The windows open, the rivers flow, the chains break, and wealth, in all its forms, must find its way to you. Habit 6. Vision. Before wealth arrives in the hand, it must be born in the heart. Before the outer form appears, the inner picture must be painted. This is the law of vision. It is the silent law that governs manifestation, the unseen architect that builds palaces from thought. Every fortune, every creation, every divine success was once only an image carried by faith within the unseen chambers of the soul. Imagine an architect who has never lifted a single stone. His palace does not yet stand upon the earth, but on his table lies a blueprint, a sacred design drawn in lines and symbols, yet more real to him than the empty field before his eyes. He walks among the halls in his imagination. He runs his hand across banisters that have not yet been carved. He sees fountains flowing through no water yet falls. To him, the unseen is more alive than the seen. So it must be with you. Wealth begins in the temple of vision. If your inner picture is small, your outer results will shrink to fit it. But if your inner picture is vast, overflowing, unshaken by doubt, then nothing can stop its arrival in time. Do not say, I will believe when I see. Say instead, I see, therefore it must be. This is the reversal that separates those who wander in lack from those who command abundance. Your mind is the canvas, your faith is the brush, and your words are the colors that fill the form. Each morning, sit with your divine blueprint. Write your financial vision in detail, not as a wish but as though it already lives in your world. Let your hand declare what your heart already knows. I live in abundance. I move with freedom. I serve with wealth. See the bank accounts filled. See the doors of opportunity swing open. See your debts dissolved like mist under sunlight. See yourself walking in the garden of divine provision. Now hold this vision with gratitude, not with grasping. Gratitude is the cement that sets the vision in place. The universe answers not the cry of desperation, but the song of thanksgiving. Each time you feel the temptation to doubt, return to your sacred picture. Lift it up before your mind's eye like a holy offering. Whisper within, this is my palace, and in God's perfect law it already stands complete. Affirm with me, my mind carries the vision of divine wealth. I see only God's perfect plan unfolding now. Every day my inner picture becomes my outer reality. And as you guard this inner sight, know this, no force of lack, no storm of circumstance, no delay of time can erase what has been carved in spirit. Vision is eternal. Once you have seen it with the eyes of faith, creation has already bowed to your decree. Habit 7. Divine timing. But vision alone is not enough. For the seed must not only be planted, it must also be allowed to grow. This is the law of divine timing. The universe does not answer to haste. Heaven is not moved by panic. The divine clock ticks in silence, yet it never falters. At the appointed hour, all things appear, and no hand can delay them. Look to the farmer. He does not plant his seed and demand harvest in the morning. He trusts the seasons. He knows the rains will fall when hay are meant to fall. He knows the sun will shine when it is meant to shine. So too must you trust that your vision, once planted in spirit, will ripen at the perfect moment. Impatience is the thief of miracles. When you attempt to force the fruit before it is ripe, you destroy the flow. But when you rest in faith, when you release the need to control, the harvest comes with power and beauty. There is a divine clock ticking in heaven. You cannot hear it with your ears, but your soul feels its rhythm. At this very moment, it is counting down to the hour of your breakthrough. When the hand of God strikes the appointed second, no person, no obstacle, no limitation can hold your supply back. What is yours by divine right will arrive like a river overflowing its banks. Do not be deceived by delays. A delay is not a denial. It is simply heaven rearranging circumstances so that your blessing arrives in the highest form. Sometimes the closed door you lament is the very protection that prepares the greater door ahead. Sometimes the silence you endure is the tuning of the divine orchestra, readying the music of your wealth to burst forth in harmony. When you feel weary of waiting, whisper this prayer. I release the calendar. I release the clock. I release the urge to control. God's timing is perfect, and I trust the hour of my supply. Feel the peace that enters when you let go. That peace itself is proof that the divine order is already working. Affirm with me, at the appointed time nothing can stop my wealth from arriving. I trust the rhythm of heaven's clock. I walk in peace, for divine timing governs my life. And so we arrive at the great union of vision and timing. You must see with unwavering eyes, and then you must trust with unshaken heart. To see is to plant the seed. To trust is to water it with patience. Together they open the gates of abundance. When you see and trust, you hold the final key. You stand at the threshold of your palace. The blueprint has been drawn. The foundation has been laid. The hour of manifestation ticks closer with each breath you take. And soon, at the precise moment heaven has prepared, your wealth will no longer be vision but reality. Habit 8. Sealing with declaration and faith. There comes a moment when the seed must break through the soil, when all the watering, tending and waiting culminates in a single undeniable bloom. That is the moment of declaration, for words are not mere sounds, they are seals upon the unseen. They are the key that locks the door of doubt and opens the treasury of faith. You have walked through 7 sacred habits. You have guarded your tongue. You have trained your thoughts. You have chosen gratitude. You have released resistance. You have walked in praise. You have aligned with vision. And now, beloved soul, you stand at the threshold of sealing it all. Habit 8 is the crown upon the structure, the fire upon the altar, the habit of declaration and faith. Declaration is not whispering your hope. It is commanding your destiny. It is standing in the invisible court of heaven and saying with certainty, so it is. When you declare, you stamp divine law onto matter. You write the decree that angels hasten to perform, and when faith stands behind your word, mountains bow. Think of it this way. A king may own vast lands, but until he speaks a royal decree, nothing moves. Armies wait. Courtiers wait, merchants wait. His power is silent until his word is spoken. You are the king or queen of your inner kingdom, and until you declare, your abundance stands waiting in stillness. But the moment your tongue seals the word, heaven's orchestration begins. This is why Florence Scovel Shinn said the game of life is a game of words. Words are not suggestions, they are commands. Declarations seal energy. Declarations tell your subconscious what to build. Declarations echo into the divine field and summon wealth to your path. So now, let us step into this together. I invite you, not as a passive listener, but as a co-creator of your destiny, to speak aloud with me. Let your voice rise, even if only in a whisper, for heaven hears every syllable. Repeat after me. God's wealth doors are open, and I walk through now. Feel those words not as hope, but as truth. The doors are open, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Speak it again. God's wealth doors are open and I walk through now. Again. Every habit I keep unlocks the riches of heaven, not in theory but in reality. Every act of praise, every word of faith, every release of resistance is a golden key, and now the treasury is open before you. Close your eyes for a moment and enter the visualization. See before you a great golden door, tall, luminous, etched with divine symbols that only your soul understands. You place your hand upon it, and with your declaration it swings wide. Beyond it is a chamber without end, a room where wealth flows like rivers of light, where every need is met, where abundance is the very air you breathe. Step through it now. Feel your feet touch the sacred ground of provision. See angels carrying gifts into your hands. See every debt dissolved. See your life radiant with overflow. This is not imagination. This is alignment with reality unseen. And here is the truth. These 8 habits are not theory. They are not spiritual ornaments to admire from a distance. They are living laws. Like gravity, they operate whether you acknowledge them or not. But when you practice them, when you seal them with your declaration, they become rivers in your favor. Hear me now. Your word is law unto your life. Your faith is the fire that ignites it. The habits you have learned are the channels through which the divine supply rushes forth. And when sealed by declaration, they cannot be undone. Lack cannot argue against a faith-filled decree. Fear cannot stand against a tongue of fire. Doubt cannot enter a temple sealed with God's word. So here is my call to you. Choose one habit today, one sacred action you will not just hear but embody. Write it in the comments. Act it aloud. Claim it as yours, for declaration is not complete until it is embodied. Perhaps you choose praise. Perhaps you choose guarding your words. Perhaps you choose non-resistance. Whatever it is, declare it, make it living, place it into the soil of your day and water it with faith. And now I seal this teaching over you. Your wealth is in motion now. Doors are swinging wide. Supply is rushing forth. You are walking not into scarcity, but into divine overflow. Every habit is alive within you. Every declaration is echoing in heaven. Every step you take is guided by unseen hands of provision. So go forth, child of light. Go forth and live in divine flow. For it is written upon you now. Your wealth is not on the way. It is here. It is now. It is sealed.